का क्या मतलब है मारने का?
पासपोर्ट मेरा ले लिया,
काम निकालो, यूज एंड थ्रो कर दिया ना।
इधर आके ब्लैकमेल कर रहा है मेरे को।
सॉल्यूशन है, यहाँ से निकाल लेंगे।
Almost 17,000 Indians are trapped in a foreign country. They are physically abused, their passports are taken, salaries not paid. As their struggle continues each day, no governing body is offering a concrete solution. Fearing possible deportation, they do not know where to ask for help. Right now, at this very moment, they have one common question. How can they get out of this? Will someone help?
इंडियंस बहुत तकलीफ में है इधर। मैं आपको बता दूं रियलिटी चैनल से कहाँ से सर्वाइव करेगा।
Guru arrived in Yerevan in August from the Indian capital, New Delhi. He paid more than 1 million Armenian dirhams to an agent in India who promised him a permanent job and a better life in Armenia. A few days after his arrival, the agent disappeared.
नहीं पता था, मेरा खास बैठा था। आप लगाइए 15-16 साल से कोई दोस्त है किसी का, वो आदमी इतना ट्रस्टेड हो जाता है, वो सोचता है कि यार ये झूठ बोलेगा।
In India, Guru used to work as a chef in a well-known hotel chain. Now in Armenia, he is struggling to find a job and lives in a shared apartment with 12 other Indians. All share a similar story.
Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, a city of over 1 million people in the South Caucasus region, is witnessing a new migration trend. Armenia has been home to ethnic Armenians who account for the majority of the population. But now, the country is witnessing a flourishing number of Indian migrants in the recent years. In one of the busiest quarters of Yerevan, between high-rise apartments, stands a strange building. Following a lead, we went there to understand what was really going on. From the outside, the one-story building seemed abandoned, with white paint wearing off its walls.
Hello, how are you?
When we went inside, we saw over 30 beds lined up next to each other, with luggage bags spread out. The building had cameras installed. Inside, there were a group of men from India. Each of them had his own story to tell.
मेरे को 3 महीना हो गया यहाँ पे। एग्रीकल्चर के लिए हमारे 6 लड़कों का वीजा लगा था। एग्रीकल्चर के लिए लगा था कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम में।
The men were in their mid-20s and early 30s, some even older. They were scared to talk to anyone. Only after learning that I'm from India as well and I can speak the Hindi language, one of them gradually opened up to me.
वो चिल्लाते हैं, सारे के सारे मारने को चढ़ते हैं। एक के पेट में लात मारी यहाँ से, एक के सिर में मारा, और 2 के पासपोर्ट छीन ले रहा था।
These men from different parts of India, such as Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, New Delhi, and Uttarakhand, arrived in Armenia 3 months ago. They were all promised a permanent job in Armenia with a high salary, good living conditions, and a better life.
Is your work you do on construction, is it very hard for you?
हाँ, फर्स्ट टाइम हम आए इधर तो पत्थर तोड़ने का काम था। 8 घंटे
पैसा भी टाइम पे नहीं मिल रहा है ना। अगस्त में 19 में भी नहीं दिया, फिर बोला 25 में देंगे, 25 में भी नहीं दिया, बोला फिर 2 तारीख में देंगे, 2 में भी नहीं दिया, फिर बोला 5 में देंगे, वो भी आधे पैसे दिए, पूरा पेमेंट नहीं किया।
और जो काम के लिए कैसे वो आते हैं आपको लेने के लिए यहाँ पे?
हाँ, डेली आते हैं सुबह में
गाड़ी में।
सुबह कुछ आदमी जाते हैं, कुछ आदमी रूम पर सोते हैं।
अर्मीनियन का किसी का नाम आपको पता हो?
आर्थक है जो हमारा मेन आदमी है, आर्थक आरम।
So there were like 50 people. We wanted to find out a bit more about Artak, so we started investigating. Artak manages a company named Alpha Progress, which on paper is a construction company in Armenia. We located the building and wrote to the Cadastre Committee of Armenia asking details about it. In response, a letter from the committee stated the building itself does not have a registered owner. Also this year, the State Revenue Committee of Armenia found violations against Artak company Alpha Progress, where the company had not paid taxes for more than 36 million drams, around $100,000.
देते हैं जब काम देते हैं तो
कुछ नहीं लिखते।
कंपनी का तो नाम आज तक नहीं पता चला जी, कंपनी का नाम क्या।
The men arrived in Armenia on a 21-day tourist visa with a promise of a permanent job. Now their visa period is over. They are not given work permits by their employer, thus making them undocumented in Armenia. They told us that agents in India are working with close ties with contractors or local employers in Armenia. They were all picked up at Yerevan airport and brought to this building.
They came to Armenia with the promise of a better life, but now all they are left with is just a bed. Majority of Indian migrants work as daily laborers in the construction field. We went outside of Yerevan to find out more.
मैं ब्लॉक में काम करता हूँ, बताया ब्लॉक कंपनी, बाकी पैसा दे नहीं रहा। अभी यहाँ का मेरा 3 या 3.5 लाख रुपए बाकी है, Armenian dirhams.
We met Kishore, a 54-year-old man, standing on the corner of the street, waiting in the scorching heat. His legs were weak and his hands had scars. His trembling fingers seemed fragile.
दुबई में 12 साल निकाल के न्यूज़ क्रिकेट में काम करके गैस कंपनी में काम किया, बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है।
We asked him about his living conditions, so he took us with him to the place where he lived.
The building is old. It has a room packed with bunk beds with an old sofa in the center. When the day ends, each of the men must pay 1,000 Armenian drams for a bed in this place. In a corner, someone coughs very hard.
Like many others, he came to Armenia through an agent who charged him around $2,400. The agent later disappeared with his money, leaving him in Armenia. Now he is forced to do daily labor to survive.
We found another building which is made for funeral services, but now this building serves as a living place for Indian migrants.
We saw another man in his mid-20s sitting outside the building with his face buried in his palms. He was wearing a green t-shirt from a construction site with brown shorts and slippers in his feet. He came to Armenia 4 months ago and was scammed by an agent in India who took over $3,000 from him.
जी 2 नंबर में बुला रहे हैं बस 1-2 दिन हुआ था उसको एजेंटगिरी कर रहे हैं अभी एजेंट बना था नया में।
तो आप इधर आए तो आपको आया था कोई एयरपोर्ट पे रिसीव करना?
हाँ वो तो रिसीव करके आया 1-2 दिन उसके पास रहा मैं। 1 महीना मेरे को ऐसे बेला बैठा दिया, बोलता काम तो भाई अभी मिल नहीं बन नहीं रहा है तेरा, फिर जब तेरे पास पैसे हो जाएंगे तो फिर मेरे को पैसे देना, तेरा लाइसेंस बनाना। अभी इधर आके ब्लैकमेल कर रहा है मेरे को। बाद में पासपोर्ट मेरा ले लिया, 90,000 रुपये और मांग रहा है मेरे से। तो बाहर विश्वास भी कर लिया था ना उस टाइम पर।
Just as the 27-year-old was opening up to us and telling us how he was scammed by agents, 2 Armenian men entered the building to take him for work. We wanted to understand why are these people coming to Armenia. Rakesh Ranjan, who researches migration trends from India, explained.
Armenia is a very classic example. I know many people are going there. Most of these migrations take place with tourist visa. Many people, they are not that literate. They cannot read contracts also sometimes. They cannot read the visa document also. Even if those people can read these documents, there also role of agent is there. The agents are very suspicious. So they can say, look, this is for 15 days. When you go there, they will extend this document.
If someone gets a job for a day, he is lucky. In the evening, he will get his 6,000 drams, around $15 for the 9 hours of hard work he has done. But many of them miss this kind of luck. Most people get something to do, rarely.
Migration is not an isolated event. Migration is a subjective event where lots of factors work together. And one of the factors is compulsion to migrate. So whenever you see this region of migration, you should understand that there is lack of employment in home countries.
When we met these men, all of them seemed scared and traumatized. They were afraid to talk to us on camera. They told us nobody had ever reached out to them in the last 3 months. When we sat with them at one point, they asked us if we could help them in any way to get out of this situation. We shared our contacts with them and communicated frequently. Sometimes, some of them asked us to delete messages out of fear that their bosses might notice. After 3 weeks, one of them sent us this video.
Ով չի ուզում աշխատելու, ընդհանրապես կարա չգա գործի։ Ես կբերեմ եգիպտացիներին եւ հայերին։ Կսպասեք այնքան ժամանակ, կստանաք ձեր փողերը, հետ կգնաք տուն։
How many Indian migrant workers are stuck in a similar situation? We went to the migration service of Armenia to get some answers.
Նրանց հոսքը գնահատվում է շուրջ 20,000։ Նրանցից մի մասն է միայն, որ օրինական կացություն ունի.
Some revealed incidents of bosses taking away their passports.
My passport is with him only. So if I don't pay means he will not give my passport.
Prior to 2017, Indian citizens could visit Armenia solely on invitation. But in 2017, the Armenian government changed the law to make it easier for Indian citizens to get an entry visa. Now, Indians can apply online for a tourist visa for 21 days for 3,000 Armenian dirhams, around $8.
We went outside of Yerevan to an infamous market close to the border between Armenia and Turkey. There we met a group of 8 to 10 young men from India working as cleaners. Besides fast-growing relations between Armenia and India and decreasing trade, thousands of Indians in Armenia need some basic help, like work permits and access to medical care. Even if they find the courage to see a doctor, they need to pay around $30. Only in critical cases or if there is a dangerous infection, a foreigner can ask for a free treatment in Armenia. Who can they reach out to?
Մեզ մոտ բոլոր լեզուներով գրեթե հնարավոր բոլոր լեզուներով խոսող օտար լեզուներով մասնագետներ ունենք, ովքեր որ անհրաժեշտության պարագայում միացնում են միանգամից մեզ եւ մենք շատ արագ արձագանքում ենք։ Չէ, մենք այս պայդրությամբ ունենք անգլերեն, ֆրանսերեն, ռուսերեն, արաբերեն խոսող մասնագետներ, իսպաներեն։
Despite large resources associated with governing bodies, social workers, detectives and the police, the Human Rights Defender's Office has managed to resolve around 35 alarms raised by Indian migrants in the last 6 years. Armenia's total population is around 2.9 million. Currently, 20,000 of them are Indians. Only 3,000 Indian citizens have legal documents. Generally, the Armenian government accepts the fact that they were not ready to host this immense flow of migrants. The inflow of migrants is a new thing in Armenia. After the collapse of the Soviet Union during the next decades, Armenia faced a problem of mass emigration. Because of the social, economic and border issues, thousands of Armenians left the country with the same hope of a better life. The rules to enter Armenia were not very strict for most countries. Inflow of foreigners, that was not common for decades. Now the situation is changing.
In a few days of our investigation and fieldwork, we met dozens of Indians who were scammed by agents and are now struggling each day to find work and survive with no legal documents. Further, they are exploited and forced to work, some even trapped with their passports held by employers. What is the Armenian government doing?
Իրականում խնդիրը այդքան հեշտ չի անշուշտ, որովհետև մենք էլ գիտենք, որ այդ մարտիկ այնպես չի, որ հնարավոր է, որ իրանց տեղաշարժն էլ սահմանափակված լինի, ինֆորմացիան էլ հասանելի չլինի։ Այո, մենք էլ գիտենք նման դեպքերի մասին։
Deputy head of the Migration Service says the government is taking steps. Armenia is going to tighten the process to enter the country.
Հիմա մեր խնդիրն է, որպեսզի մի փոքր այդ e-վիզայի ուրեմն այսպես ասեմ մեխանիզմը իրենց դեպքում մի փոքր խստացնենք, որպեսզի հոսքը մի քիչ նվազի, մանավանդ այսօր հաշվի առնելով, որ մենք արդեն սկսում ենք վիզաների ազատականացման շուրջ ԵՄ-ի հետ բանակցությունները եւ այս խնդիրը արդեն դառնում է շատ օրակարգային։
2 months after the interview, the Armenian government decided to tighten the visa rules for Indians. Now, for the e-visa, Indian citizens should provide a return ticket, information about their financial situation, travel insurance, and an invitation letter from Armenia. But how will the Armenian government prevent the agents from bringing Indian workers the same way with some additional paperwork? The government is not addressing this issue in the 2-page document. We approached the other responsible governing body, the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs.
Հիմա նախատեսում երազեկման նյութեր, որը տեղադրվել են բոլոր օդանավականը, որտեղ կարծում ենք որոշ դեպքերում օտարացի քաղաքացին խափում են կամ ոչ ամբողջական ինֆորմացիա ներկայացնում, երբ որ փորձում են ներգրավել Հայաստանի աշխատաշուկա։
However, the deputy minister did not offer a solution for Indians who are already in Armenia.
Ունեցավ խնդիր Հայաստանի Հանրապետություն որևէ օտարերկրացի քաղաքացի։ Ես պարզ բերեմ իմ օրինակը, որևէ X երկրում խնդիր ունենալու պարագայում ես դիմում իմ դեսպանատուն խնդրելով արժանապատվությունը։
We approached the Embassy of India in Yerevan regarding the same issue. After weeks, we still have not received a response. We found India has centers to help its citizens in other countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia. There are helplines and shelters for struggling Indian migrants abroad, but nothing in Armenia. In the last 2 months, we have received dozens of messages asking for help. Some said they were afraid to trust anybody but us. Not completely satisfied with the answers from the authorities, we went back to the first building to meet the migrant workers.
तो आपको हमें बताना होगा कि ये कौन लोग हैं जो आपके साथ ये कर रहे हैं.
The men gave us names of two agents, one from their local village and another one from a different state in India, who helped them with their visa and paperwork. We tried to track the agents. We found out the agent is from a remote village called Khalsi in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh in India.
Hello, namaste.
Namaste ji.
We tried contacting him pretending to ask for a job abroad.
आर्मीनिया का शायद मिल सकता है थोड़ा तो
आर्मीनिया का टूरिस्ट वीजा होता है इसमें तो ज्यादा लफड़ा है नहीं बाकी.
It was strange to comprehend that an Indian agent from a small village in India would just happen to know some employers in Armenia. Is this a well-coordinated network where people pose as recruiting agents in India and work with people in Armenia?
Agents have network, and agents have created networks with sub-agents, sub-agents, and sometimes sub-agents. That goes to village level. And most of the time, they want to have someone like some village level people because they have trust. So these sub-agents are sometimes your relative, sometimes your village head, or sometimes your friend's friend.
We filed a right to information application with the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, inquiring about the initiatives taken to curb these fake agents. In response, the ministry did not give us any concrete answers, but simply stated the exact number of Indians in Armenia is unavailable with the embassy.
What started as a simple question, why are Indians coming to Armenia, led us to uncover a complex puzzle where common people in India work as recruiting agents alongside connections in Armenia.
मजबूर में एक आदमी आता है, चलो इतना सैलरी है, चलो आदमी अच्छा कंपनी मिल गई तो वहाँ हम लोग कुछ 2 साल 4 साल 5 साल लगेंगे तो लाइफ बन सकता है. नहीं हो सकता है ना. अब आने का आदमी फंस जाता है फिर उसके बाद दिक्कत हो जाती है.
Some even told us they would go back to India if they were given an opportunity.
तो इंडिया चले जाएंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बस हमारे पासपोर्ट मिल जाए मैं.
As per Armenian law, if any foreigner overstays their stay without a valid visa, they need to pay a fine of 100,000 drams, around $260 to leave the country.
If a majority out of the 17,000 Indian migrants have been scammed with each paying over $2,000 to $3,000 to an agent, it means approximately over $51 million is involved in this scam. Out of all the people we met, Guru was the only one who agreed to talk to us on camera.
फोन ही नहीं करता. मैंने आपको कहा ना काम निकालो, यूज एंड थ्रो कर देना. हम नहीं चाहते कि हमने जिला है कोई अदर इंडियंस या.
Apart from the financial debt, there is a looming cloud of uncertainty. A mere absence of social and medical security. One of Guru's housemates is his niece, a woman in her mid-20s, who is now 5 months pregnant.
बिल्कुल ठीक है. थोड़ा बहुत अभी DRC या पासपोर्ट, बेबी का पासपोर्ट भी बन जाए, बस इतना ही बहुत है, तो क्या चाहिए.
She passes each day fearing the future of her unborn child, with a growing sense of uncertainty, wondering what kind of life will her child have in this foreign land.
Not sure about the future, she breathes heavy as she tells us that she does not feel secure. She considers returning to India, but for that she needs the money to buy a ticket. To earn that money, she needs to find work, but without a work permit, that seems impossible.
The investigation tried to show the situation of Indian migrants in Armenia who were scammed by agents. While the Armenian government is not offering a solution and the Indian authorities are remaining silent, the struggle for the 17,000 Indians continues, who wake up every morning facing a challenge to survive.